North Korea is sending 700 troops to shield Captain Ibrahim Traoré. These are the kind of things that I love to hear.
In an absolutely stunning twist that has left the world reeling, reports claim that 700 elite North Korean commandos have landed in Burkina Faso to protect Captain Ibrahim Traoré from an imminent coup threat. You heard that right. North Korea, the secretive and militarized regime, allegedly stepping into Africa's power struggle. Is this a bold military alliance against Western influence? A high-stakes chess move is on the global stage? Or just smoke and mirrors in the fog of war? One thing's for sure, this will change everything. Stay tuned as we break down what really happened, why Traoré is seen as the symbol of resistance, and what this means for Africa and the world.
When foreign troops show up, they usually come with a NATO patch or a French flag on their sleeve. That's the norm. But this, North Korean boots on African ground, that's something else entirely. It's not fiction, it's real, and it's official. The government of Burkina Faso has confirmed the arrival of 700 elite North Korean soldiers, fully armed, battle-ready, and not hiding in the shadows. They're not advisors, they're not medics. They're active combat troops, integrated into a high-stakes security mission to protect Traoré, secure the regime, and prevent yet another coup or assassination attempt.
A midnight touchdown in Bamako. The people of Mali, weary from decades of coups, unrest, and foreign intervention, awoke to an eerie silence, broken only by the distant rumble of engines. Under the cover of night, a fleet of unmarked military aircraft had touched down on the outskirts of Bamako. But it wasn't the French, nor ECOWAS peacekeepers stepping onto Malian soil. It was something far more unexpected: North Korean commandos. Clad in dark green combat fatigues and bearing no insignia, 700 elite paramilitary guards from Kim Jong-un's inner circle disembarked with chilling precision. These were not regular soldiers. These were battle-hardened operatives, veterans of shadowy operations and clandestine deployments, handpicked for their loyalty and ruthlessness. Their mission? Not a word spoken to the public, no official statement, no footage, just a sudden presence, boots on the red soil, eyes scanning the horizon. But the whispers spread quickly across intelligence channels and desert caravans alike. The commandos had been deployed to defend Burkina Faso's transitional leader, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, a close ally of Colonel Assimi Goïta, Mali's own military ruler. Rumors of a brewing coup, allegedly backed by internal dissenters and discreet foreign actors, had rattled the fragile military alliance. But with this unannounced show of support from Pyongyang, the message was clear: Traoré was not alone. From Bamako's tea stalls to the streets of Ouagadougou and the markets of Bobo-Dioulasso, speculation surged. What deal had been struck behind closed doors? How deep did this alliance run? One thing was certain: the game had changed. In a region long shaped by Western interference and regional blocs, a new shadow had entered the Sahel. No flags, no fanfare, just silence, discipline, and a quiet warning: Burkina Faso would not fall without a fight. Captain Ibrahim Traoré came to power as a young, charismatic soldier who promised the people freedom from neo-colonial entanglements. His rise electrified West Africa, a continent tired of puppet regimes and slow betrayals. He kicked out the French. He stood against Western manipulation. He embraced the Pan-African dream that Thomas Sankara once bled for. But dreams come with enemies, and enemies plot in silence. Whispers of a coup began to stir. Disgruntled officers, old political elites, foreign embassies with too many advisors. Something was coming. Traoré could feel it in the sand and in the silence. So he made the call. Not to the West, not to the African Union, but to Pyongyang. North Korea's silent footprint in Africa. While the world turns its back on the Hermit Kingdom, Africa has never fully shut it out. From Mozambique to Namibia, North Korea has quietly left its mark, building presidential palaces, training elite guards, and even crafting grandiose monuments. But this latest move was different.
The presence of 700 elite North Korean commandos on Burkina Faso has been confirmed by the country's administration. These forces, deployed in full force, did not arrive as humanitarian staff, advisors, or observers. After a series of failed coups and assassination attempts, they'd arrived as active military soldiers involved in a security operation to safeguard President Ibrahim Traoré.
Deploying 700 commandos to West Africa wasn't soft diplomacy. It was a statement of readiness. This wasn't about construction. It was about war, about loyalty forged not in contracts, but in shared defiance. Traoré didn't just request aid, he called for warriors, men trained to act without hesitation when the first bullet cracks the air, fighters who don't flinch because they've already been forged in fire. For Kim, it was more than strategy. It was solidarity, an open show of allegiance to a fellow pariah. Two leaders isolated by the West, united by a single cause: sovereignty, secured by force if necessary. Within 48 hours of arrival, the North Koreans were in full operation. They didn't waste time sipping tea or smiling for the cameras. They took over security of key infrastructures: the presidency, army barracks, communication towers. Night patrols doubled, surveillance around the capital tightened, and in the corridors of the army headquarters, Burkina officers began to murmur. "Is this still our country?" some dared to ask. "Who brought these shadows among us?" others whispered. But Traoré was unmoved. "A lion doesn't consult the goats before hunting," he reportedly told his inner circle. That night, 50 officers known for prior contact with foreign diplomats were detained. No press release, no trial, just silence.
Ibrahim Traoré? He is different. He has been targeted. He has survived assassination attempts, coup plots, internal betrayal. The Western world sees him not just as a threat, but as someone they can remove.
Coup plot unmasked. The timing wasn't random. Intelligence intercepted days before had revealed that a faction within the army, working with external forces, planned to stage a power grab under the guise of national security. The plan was textbook: incite small-scale riots to destabilize the capital, spread fear, and then roll in tanks under a false flag. The objective was to oust Traoré and install a transitional council aligned with foreign interests. But Traoré, a student of war, not peace, struck first. Before the plot matured, he acted decisively, using a surgical strike force few anticipated. The North Koreans were his scalpel. By the third day of their deployment, 5 high-ranking conspirators were arrested, their homes raided, weapons seized. One of them, a lieutenant colonel trained in France, was found with encrypted devices linking him to operatives in Côte d'Ivoire and Niger. Back home in North Korea, the move was seen as a masterstroke. While the world mocks Kim Jong-un's isolation, he has quietly extended his influence into the heart of Africa, not through speeches, but through action. By defending Traoré, North Korea isn't just protecting a president, it is protecting its image as a defender of anti-imperialist regimes. And in a continent ripe with dissatisfaction toward Western meddling, this move has not gone unnoticed. African youth on social media began to praise the deployment. If ECOWAS won't protect our leaders, maybe Pyongyang will. Traoré got real soldiers, not observers with pens. State-run media in North Korea quickly capitalized on the mission, broadcasting grainy footage of troops boarding planes under cover of night, claiming it as proof of the country's growing global solidarity with liberation forces across the developing world.
North Korea has one of the most robust internal security systems in the world, despite the fact that the majority of the world still sees the country through the prism of missile testing and nuclear standoffs. Burkina Faso is now installing some of that architecture. Unknown areas adjacent to the nation's capital and north are reportedly where the Commandos are based. These areas are particularly susceptible to insurgent attacks and attempts at internal destabilization.
Brothers in arms, Traoré and Kim. Though separated by continents, Captain Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso and North Korea's Kim Jong-un share a striking kinship. Both assumed power at a young age, defying convention. Both are seen by outsiders as volatile and unorthodox. Both have faced immense pressure, sanctions, plots, and political isolation, and emerged, scarred but unyielding. They are men shaped by siege mentalities, bonded by a shared defiance of global norms. So, when Traoré reached out, Kim responded without hesitation. What arrived was more than a military detachment. It was an act of ideological solidarity. North Korea's message was unmistakable. Burkina Faso may be small, but its battle against neo-colonialism is no longer a solitary one. Reports from military insiders now reveal Burkinabe troops training alongside North Korean commandos. Together, they're refining counterinsurgency operations, exchanging guerrilla warfare tactics, and learning state-hardening techniques. New drills focus on layered barricade defenses, psychological resilience, cyber counterintelligence, and aggressive interrogation protocols. The collaboration isn't just military, it's philosophical. Traoré is preparing not just for war, but for longevity. And Kim is proving his influence stretches far beyond the Korean peninsula, a continental ripple effect. Other African capitals are watching closely. In Niamey, in Conakry, in Bamako, questions are being asked in hushed tones. Could this be a new model, not just for survival, but for defiance? Some leaders, especially those teetering between popular support and international pressure, are reportedly exploring their own non-traditional alliances, not necessarily with North Korea, but with any power willing to offer tangible protection without political lectures. Moscow, Beijing, Tehran, they all see an opportunity, and as the West retreats behind press releases and threats of sanctions, others step in with cargo planes and commitments. Across Ouagadougou, the atmosphere crackles with tension and pride. The arrival of North Korean troops has split public opinion, but ignited a sense of significance. In the bustling markets, vendors trade gossip as eagerly as goods. Street poets craft impromptu verses about the silent soldiers in green. Young men walk taller, convinced they are now part of a movement that stretches beyond borders.
And now we can see how that is playing out. North Korea is again supporting Africa, particularly Burkina Faso. Where or who else will they support? That's the question everyone is asking. Because sending 700 troops to shield Ibrahim Traoré shows that, yes, this is something good coming from the West, and we appreciate that side of the West. So,
if France can bring troops, why can't Traoré? One vendor declared. At least these ones fight for us, not against us. Another murmured, I don't know who they are, but I sleep better now. Yet the elders remain wary. Beware, my son, one warned. Guests who come with guns may not leave with peace. Still, the mood leans toward defiance. Traoré, many believe, won't fall easily. If a coup comes, he'll light the match himself, willing to burn the bridge to keep foreign hands off his country's destiny. ECOWAS watches in unease. The unexpected arrival of North Korean troops in Mali has thrown ECOWAS into disarray, already grappling with rising anti-French sentiment and waning influence in the region. The West African bloc now faces an uncomfortable question. What does an Asian military presence in the Sahel signify? Is this the beginning of a new scramble for Africa, or simply the price of years of strategic neglect? One Nigerian analyst put it bluntly, when you refuse to defend your brother, don't complain when a stranger does. Yet, ECOWAS has remained silent. No official statement, no condemnation, just a flurry of closed-door meetings and urgent calls to Western allies, whispering, "What now?" The continent is shifting, and ECOWAS may be watching from the sidelines as others write the next chapter. Some say this is madness, others call it brilliance. But one thing is certain, African politics will never be the same again. Traoré has ripped the rulebook and written a new chapter. One where defense doesn't come from Geneva, but from the Gobi. One where alliances are forged by needs, not norms. And while the global elite debate democracy, Traoré is reinforcing bunkers, rearming patrols, and coordinating with foreign fighters who don't flinch under fire. There are already whispers of a future Sahel Defense Pact, an informal coalition of military-led states ready to support one another through intelligence, manpower, and logistics. If such a network forms, it would represent a dramatic reshaping of West African power structures. What happens next? The streets are calm, for now. The coup threat is crushed, for now. But tension hums beneath the soil like a waiting storm. The North Koreans remain. Traoré remains. The plotters are silenced, but the game is far from over. What happens when the world begins to react? Will sanctions follow? Will diplomatic isolation grow? Will other African leaders follow Traoré's path? Or will this bold move crumble under the weight of geopolitics? Only time will tell. But for now, one thing is undeniable. Burkina Faso is no longer just the land of upright men. It is the land of bold moves, and 700 silent soldiers from Pyongyang are its newest guardians. Whether this is strategic alliance, psychological warfare, or geopolitical theater, the idea of North Korean troops defending an African revolutionary leader speaks volumes. Captain Traoré has become more than a president. He's now the face of anti-imperialist defiance. As tensions rise and rumors swirl across borders from Ivory Coast to Zimbabwe, the world is watching Africa, not as a battleground of old, but as a continent rewriting its destiny. Hit like, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for real-time updates on this explosive situation. Because if 700 commandos just landed, the next move could shake the balance of global power.